in the middle of dinner, he ends up ordering another drink, and my drink had been oh my goodness, I could have done a lot of stuff with that $100. Hello everyone, how are you guys? Welcome back to another episode in this dating series. I believe this is episode 3. If you have yet to check out the other ones, I will leave them linked down below or somewhere on the screen. But go check those out as well, because a lot of you have been enjoying them and I'm so excited to be here to do another. So we are going to be doing another story time. As you can tell by the title, you kind of know what the plot is going to be, so I'm going to build you up to that point. I also want to say thank you to all of you for still watching and commenting, and I really appreciate it. And please subscribe if you haven't. I've also been doing some vlogs, so if you haven't seen those, check those out as well. But let's just get right into this, because I know it's going to be a pretty long video because it's a story time. I need to give a thank you and a shout out to all of these guys that I've been dating, because you are literally giving me my content, and I tell you, you can't make this shit up. It is insane what I go through, what all of you guys that are dating, I'm sure, go through. Woo. Alright, so this date actually just happened this past weekend, so it's fresh in my mind and I'm still trying to process it. So I met this guy off of the dating app Hinge. If you guys have never heard of it, you guys can Google it, but it's almost like every other dating app, just with a little bit of a twist on it. And I do have a dating app video coming soon. I think it's going to be the next episode in this dating series, because I know I promised you guys a interracial dating video, but that will be coming up later, because I might want to do that with like a special guest or something. So anyway, I met this guy on Hinge, but we had started talking on, I believe, a Wednesday, and then we ended up making plans for that Friday. So we had only exchanged messages, text messages, for about 2 days in between, and all of the conversations were very light, very easygoing, like how's your day, what are you up to, which I appreciate those conversations, because I'm a very laid back kind of person. I don't like to dive into the deep stuff too quickly, because I feel like you should generate some sort of, I guess, friendship first, and a good kind of like baseline for conversation to talk about. So throughout our text messages before our date, it was very fun, carefree, and I was like, oh, I'm excited to meet this guy. We had agreed on meeting on Friday, and he had texted me and he asked me where I would like to go. I said I'm not really picky, I pretty much eat everything. So he brought up 2 suggestions. The first one he brought up was this very high-end steakhouse here in Philadelphia, and I've been there before. Amazing place, amazing food. It's called Ocean Prime. I don't know why I feel like I have to hide like what the restaurant's called, but it's called Ocean Prime. It's a great steakhouse. If you're in Philadelphia, check it out. Good food. So he brought up Ocean Prime, and then he's like, or we could just go to Chipotle and keep it super casual. And I laughed, because I knew he was joking around, but I would have been absolutely up for either or even something in between. For a first date, my initial reaction to him suggesting Ocean Prime was a little much, because I've never been on a first date there. When I go to Ocean Prime, it's for a birthday, a celebration, an anniversary, a holiday dinner. So I was like, whoa, Ocean Prime. And then the second option was Chipotle, and I was like, honestly, I'm so like easygoing. We could do Ocean Prime, we could do Chipotle, and I'll be happy either way. And that's exactly what I said to him. I was like, or we can pick somewhere like kind of in the middle. He ended up insisting on going to Ocean Prime, so I'm not going to say no. I was like, all right, let's do it. I've never been to Ocean Prime on a first date, but you know, there's a first time for everything. So we decided to go there. We had reservations for 7 o'clock. Okay, so before getting into the actual table conversation, I want to give you guys a little bit of background on him as a person. Obviously, I'm not going to say any names or anything like that, but he is a very intellectual guy. He is in his early to mid 30s, and he is a software engineer. So very, very, very smart, and he kind of knows what he wants. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of that background, just so you know how his thought process could possibly be. So I walk in, and the host or the hostess, I forget if it was a male or female, but they walked me up to the table. He had arrived early, so they had walked me up to our table, And I see him, I say, hi, how are you? I give him a hug, do all that, and then we're in this like big kind of round booth. So I scooch my way in, I look at him, we exchange a few words, like, oh, like sorry about like being a little bit late, like there was so much traffic, this and that. And before I can even like look at the menu for a drink, appetizers, food, anything, right away he goes, I have a question for you. And I go, oh, okay. And at first I was kind of like, okay, whatever, like, you know, let's get the conversation going. I'm all about that. And if you guys don't know me, if you haven't been watching me for a while, if you're new to this channel, I am a very kind of laid back, easygoing, but I can hold a conversation very, very well. I can articulate my thoughts very well. So having like questions thrown at me, it's not hard for me. I don't get stuck up, or like I don't get nervous or anything like that. So right away he asked me a question, and the first question he asked me was, what's your rarest quality? And I wasn't really expecting a question like that. I was being a first date, I was expecting something a little bit more light, but you know, being the type of guy he is, I was like, maybe he just, you know, wants to get straight to the point. So clearly he got straight to the point. In my mind, I'm like, well, rarest quality as in like personality traits, or as in something that I'm doing, like what makes me different, like this and that. And he goes, oh, let me go first. My rarest quality is that I'm thoughtful. I'm so thoughtful. I'm like, oh wow, that's great, because it's very hard to find men or women that are actually thoughtful. And then right away he starts giving me examples of how he's so thoughtful. So one that he said was, you know, if say we're together, if you come home late one day from work, I'll have dinner ready for you. You don't have to stress about that. I'll have it all done and ready. Or if I know it's going to be extremely cold outside, I'll have your jacket ready for you if we're about to go out. And I'm like, oh wow, okay, like, that's nice. I mean, I can get my own jacket, but thank you. That's like, I was like, oh wow, okay. So when I had responded, I said, my rarest quality is that I communicate. I might be an over communicator, I don't really know, but I don't think that's such a bad thing. And we've talked about this in other dating videos in the past, that communication is everything in any kind of relationship. And I still stand true to that, because I can't read your mind, you can't read my mind, so I'm gonna let you know how I feel. So that was what my answer was. And he started asking me another question, and then the waiter comes over to like get our drink orders, and I didn't even have a chance to look. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. He was like, I've been asking you all these questions, like, let's take a moment to look at the menu. I was like, great. So that was the start of it. And then we ordered drinks. We also put our food in as well. And throughout the whole dinner, it was just question after question, and things along the lines of, you know, what do you define as happiness? And what do you see for your future? And these are just a little bit more heavy of questions than I usually go for on a first date, because I feel like on a first date for me, I try to get to know their personality before wanting to know what they want in like the far, far future. Because if I don't feel a spark or chemistry with you, or if we can't laugh, or if we can't just be like normal and just kind of be ourselves with one another, I don't even want to know what you want for the future, because I don't see a future with you. So that's why on my first dates, I keep the questions very light and easygoing, just to kind of pull out the personality instead of drooling them on questions of, when do you want to get married? How many kids do you want? Like, those are just heavier questions, and those were the questions that he was asking me. But it came to a point where I was the only one answering, and he was drilling question after question, and I'm like trying to eat, and I'm like, oh, well, this and that, and then he'll be like, oh, I have another question for you. Like, he'll always flow into it with, oh, another question. It almost felt like he had these questions memorized, or he like wrote these out, which I don't know if he did, maybe he didn't, but it just seemed that way. And it came to a point where I was eating, and then he was about to ask me another question, but we did have like a little bit of a pause, so it was like a perfect opportunity. And I sit there and I go, you know, I feel like I'm on a job interview. And it just came out, and looking back now, I probably shouldn't have said that, but it's how I felt, and I had to communicate that. And then he looked at me, he was like almost scared. He was like, oh, I'm so sorry. He was like, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. He was like, you know, I just have so many questions. I was like, no, that's fine that you have questions. I was like, I just want to be honest. I feel like I'm on a job interview, because it's like almost an interrogation. And his comment was, well, this is a first date and we're trying to get to know each other, right? And I'm like, no, you're right. You're absolutely correct. I don't think that's false at all. We are trying to get to know each other. But in my defense, I didn't say this part to him, and with my thought process is that there's a way to get to know someone without drilling them question after question after question. That's how I feel. I don't know if you guys enjoy being drilled. This was a first date, so for me it was like, whoa, it was a lot. And I did kind of put myself in his shoes, because he is so intellectual. He's a software engineer, so his thought process is very different than everyone else, I think. So he's very analytical, so that's probably why he had all these questions. And if I'm being honest, we were on the same page for a lot of things. Future-wise, what we want, what we believe in. Every question that I've responded to that he asked, he actually agreed with me. So we had a lot in common on that level. However, for me, I didn't feel a spark. There was no chemistry, because I just felt like I was on this job interview. It was like the oddest thing. So that was kind of the vibe of the whole entire night. So in the middle of dinner, he actually decides to order a second drink. And my drink had been completely gone for probably a good like 10-15 minutes. And when the waiter came over, he had ordered another beer. And then I looked down at my drink, because the waiter looks at me, and I go, oh yes, I'll have another as well, the same thing. And then my date goes, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even look to see if your drink was empty. I'm like, sorry about that. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah. So it comes to the end of the date. Now we're sitting there, the bill comes, and I just want to preface this as well. I always offer to pay half, no matter what. Whether we are out at some bar playing games, or we're at this high-end steakhouse, or we're at Chipotle, I will always offer to pay for my half, because I can, and because that's just my personality. But I will absolutely always offer. And if it's kind of that situation where he just grabs the bill really quick, I'll be like, oh, like I can pay half, and be like, no, it's okay, like I got it. And I always say thank you. So this particular situation, the bill comes, and he pulls it towards the middle, like right in between us. And like I'm reaching for my wallet, because it's just habit. It's what I do. If a bill comes and I'm with somebody else, I'm always gonna split it, whether it's with a guy, a girlfriend, like a group of friends. Like I just always feel like, you know, I'm gonna pay for what I eat. So I reach for my wallet, and he's flipping over the receipt, and I go, so what's the damage? And he goes, I think it was like $180. I was like, okay. I was like, I can pay half. And then he was like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, that's no big deal. I mean, I can pay half. You know, I'm eating as well. And then he goes, wow. He gives me a big compliment. He goes, wow, a lot of women really wouldn't ever do that. That's really nice of you. So he's giving me this compliment. And typically by this time, at least the dates that I've been on prior, the guy would be like, thank you for offering, but I got it. I invited you here, I got it. So he's complimenting me over and over, like, that's very sweet of you to pay half, like this and that. And then I just put my card down, and either guys typically say no, or like take the card and put it back in my hand. Nope, I put my card down, he put his card down, the waiter takes it away, and I pay over $100 for my own first date. But it's just the first time I've ever experienced a guy doing this to me on a first date, where he picked the spot, a high-end steakhouse in Philadelphia. He picked the spot, and he said he was super thoughtful. I feel like a true gentleman would never let a woman pay on their first date. Because I've dated guys before, either for a few months or years, and we get to that point where you're just like, oh, I got this one because you got the last one. You know, it's that easy kind of transition. But on a first date, I was just very shocked that he had let me pay over $100. And the fact that I felt like I was on a job interview, I was kind of like, ooh, that was not worth over $100. This date was not worth it. So So please let me know if any of you have had dating experiences like this particular story. But yeah, that is my story time. This date wasn't my worst date, but it wasn't the best date either. But it was definitely the first time I paid for my first date. That was over $100. And he was like saying, oh, I had such a great time, I want to see you again, like this and that. And I was like, yeah. So again, please leave any comments down below if you guys have experienced something like this, or if you guys have a bad date story, please let me know. I would love, love, love to read it, because we are all going through this, all of us. We have some crazy stories. I know you have some crazy stories. My roommate Stephanie and I, ooh, we were just talking about this earlier. You cannot make this up. You can't make this shit up. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching and for commenting and liking and just being there. I really do appreciate it. And a lot of you guys love this series, so I'm so thankful for that. And again, if you have any other questions or any comments, leave them down below. Follow me on Instagram. I am super active on Instagram. If you have yet to subscribe, please do. People don't subscribe anymore. Please subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. More dating videos are going to be coming up, and leave any requests down below, because I want to know what you guys want to see in this dating series. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!